Now, from the Columbia Basin, your local news source, this is iFIBER 1 News, presented in high definition. The #1 source for real-time local news, local sports headlines, and our very own Weather Center forecast covering the entire Columbia Basin. With your iFIBER 1 News team, reporting news in real time as it's happening. From the iFIBER Communications HD broadcast studio in Ephrata, Washington, this is iFIBER 1 News, and it starts now.
Welcome to iFIBER 1 News. I'm Glenn Butler with your news from around the Columbia Basin for Tuesday, April 16th. Tonight, we report on 4 Columbia Basin residents that survived the terror attacks on the Boston Marathon, and how accreditation will help the Grant County Coroner's Office. We look at a legislative update from Olympia by Representative Judy Warnick and learn about a wolf attack near Wenatchee. In sports, we see the impact of the Boston attack and learn about an injured mariner. Our spotlight story tonight is about an 11-year-old Moses Lake girl that wants to be a hospice nurse. And we have the latest weather forecast for the Columbia Basin from the iFIBER 1 Weather Center. Our top story tonight: 2 explosives were detonated near the finish line of the Boston Marathon.
At 2:50 p.m. today, there were simultaneous explosions that occurred along the route of the Boston Marathon near the finish line. These explosions occurred 50 to 100 yards apart, and each scene resulted in multiple casualties. At this point in time, all of the victims have been removed from the scene. We have sent officers to hospitals to be in touch with family members and possible witnesses. We immediately activated a system of response that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the federal government has in place for these type of incidents.
4 Grant County residents survived the attack. Ephrata accountant Sam Barnes had left the finish line area prior to the explosions. After finishing the race, he went back to his hotel. The Columbia Basin Herald reported that Moses Lake resident Jody O'Shea was about a quarter mile away from the finish line at the time of the explosions. The Boston Marathon website reported Moses Lake resident Ashley Garza was behind O'Shea, and Othello resident Curtis Grant finished the race prior to Barnes. The explosions went off shortly after 2 p.m. and injured at least 120 people and killed 3, according to the Associated Press. 1 was an 8-year-old child. Grant County residents are getting a more efficient coroner's office after a 2-year-long accreditation process. Coroner Craig Morrison pointed to several cost savings, including switching the type of cards staff use to store DNA and changing body bags. The entire process of showing the office complies with roughly 200 standards from the International Association of Coroners and Medical Examiners made them examine how they worked. The $3,000 accreditation process is expected to come to a conclusion in June. This is the first time the office has been accredited, which will allow the office to apply for federal grants. Representative Judy Warnick gives us an update on what lawmakers are doing in Olympia.
2 of my bills are still moving forward. The extension of the tax exemption for beekeepers passed the Senate Agricultural Committee. And the Horse Park Authority, which would expand the board members, also passed the Senate through the Parks Committee. Last week, the Senate Coalition Caucus introduced and passed their budget. This budget's a great example of how you can pass a budget without increasing taxes and still prioritize education. It's also the first step to look at a closer take a closer look at other things that we need to put into our budget. And recently, in capital budget, we heard a school safety bill. Senate Bill 5197 would enhance school safety to protect our most valuable resource, our children. This bill would allow for the use of silent alarm systems to help law enforcement respond in a more efficient manner, require a level of security in new school construction, such as electronic locks, limited public entrances, etc. This bill will be moving on, hopefully, to the floor house.
A Quincy homeowner reportedly held a suspected burglar down while awaiting Grant County Sheriff's deputies on Sunday. Suspect Stephen Bowman, a 65-year-old College Place man, was arrested on suspicion of residential burglary, attempted third-degree theft, third-degree malicious mischief, and resisting arrest. On Sunday afternoon, a homeowner called 911 to report a burglary in progress at his home in the 11,700 block of Road K Northwest. The victim told dispatchers he was in the kitchen of the home holding down a man he had found inside. The victim later reportedly saw Bowman wearing gloves and carrying a family heirloom clock while attempting to leave through the back door. The victim tackled Bowman and held him down while deputies arrived. The Boys and Girls Club is getting a new home in Moses Lake. Here with the story is Ryan Lancaster.
Moses Lake will soon see a new hangout spot for community youth. A groundbreaking ceremony for the new Boys and Girls Club took place Saturday, April 13, at the Park Orchard Elementary School grounds. The event hosted several public speakers, including 13th District Representatives Matt Manweller and Judy Warnick. Manweller said facilities like the Boys and Girls Club help children become more active by promoting activities that keep them away from an excess of screen time. Warnick paid respects to the members of public, saying that if it wasn't for the community's support, the state wouldn't be able to help with the construction cost. The representatives put a $300,000 line item into the House capital budget proposal that, if passed, would help fund construction of the new facility. Club CEO Brant Mayo said the new club will cost approximately $3 million to build. Construction should start in earnest next month and take 6 to 8 months to complete. Once the doors open, Mayo says it will serve about 250 to 300 kids a day and have 1,500 to 2,000 members. For iFIBER 1 News, this is Ryan Lancaster reporting with Spencer Graham and Robert Ryder.
Thank you, Ryan. Each of the people you see here have warrants for their arrest and are wanted by various law enforcement agencies. If you see any of these people, the DOC asks that you do not attempt to detain or apprehend them, but to call police. You can call the Department of Corrections at 509-764-6180 during the day or 509-762-1160 after 5 p.m. We will be back after these messages with the latest from our iFIBER 1 Sports Center, weather, and more news.